All right, welcome back. And of course, today, like I told you in the beginning, we're going to talk to a man who is really inspiring. And in case, just to tell you how inspiring he is his name is Charles Mully. Of course, I know you've heard of him. So many books have been written about him already. There's My Journey of Faith, Hope for the Hopeless. He's been called the greatest African philanthropist. And there is another book. There are many books that are written about him. And now, after a book, there is a movie, and it's entitled Mully. And we want to find out more about that movie, and even more about the gentleman himself, and even the production, because you know, it is really a big deal. Let me tell you, it's a big deal. So I'll allow them to introduce themselves, and then we'll pick it up from there. Yeah. So we'll start with you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here at the Citizen Power Breakfast and enjoy this moment. My name's Charles Mully, and I am the father and the biggest father in Kenya and all over the world, with so many children, over 12,000 children who have gone through the program, and 3,000 those whom we care for them. So I'm happy to be here.
All right, it's a big family. This is yourself, sir.
And I'm Lucas Benkin, and I live in Los Angeles, California, and I'm part of a production company I have called Sterling Light Productions, and now working with a company called For Good, which is a social action impact distribution team that works with films about igniting hearts and inspiring action in people's lives with and through film and media.
Right, and of course, interesting story. I guess we'll start with you, Lucas, because first of all, how did you get wind of Mully and his long list of great things that he's doing?
There's a man in my life named Scott Hayes who directed this, and I'm the producer. And we've worked on a number of projects together. And a man named John Bardis had been knowing about him through reading this book, Father to the Fatherless.
Right.
And John had read that and been inspired by him, and given an award to him, a Man of the Year award in for his company in Atlanta, Georgia. And he had been aware of him over the years and had seen a model of rehabilitation and rescue and family like no other model of family rehabilitation of street children and orphans. And so they connected together, and John had tracked his life and his story for some years, and John was inspired while attending the Clinton Global Initiative in New York, I believe. And he was inspired during that Clinton Global Initiative, it is, but he was inspired there for his action to give back, to make a film on the greatest story that he knew of surrender and giving back to others. And so he called Scott Hayes, and Scott Hayes called me, and we read this book and said, I think this is one of the most important things we could do with our lives, to tell this story.
Interesting. So, Mr. Mully, your story is told through a movie, and maybe for those who don't know your story, where did it all begin? When did you, now you're at 3,000, you say 12,000 people have gone through the program, but how did it all start for you?
Well, back in the, let's say when I was 5, 6 years, that I faced so much problem with the very poor parents, and a father who was so much addicted to alcohol, and through that I found myself being left and abandoned, and I went through so much problem. But I know, in short, when I was 16 years old, that's the time when I felt like, wow, what should I do? And it was like I cannot do anything, and I needed to learn to go to school. It was not possible, and my parents were not around anywhere. And so I decided to have a long journey to the city of Nairobi, walking from Kangundo And then coming to the city.
You walked from Kangundo to Nairobi?
To Nairobi.
Wow.
And then no food, no single cent. And I was looking for a job, and therefore I found a job, temporary, and where I worked, and then the person who had employed me, then he was a CEO of a big company at Makuyu, Kakuzi, Fiber Limited. And therefore through that, then I was able now to get a better job and well paid. I worked myself, and later I bought a vehicle, and that vehicle I bought another one, and then I left, I quitted, and I bought, the matatu. I started doing matatu. I was one of those who started matatu in the year 1971, 71, a long time ago in Eldoret, and then I kept on doing that. I bought fleet of buses, and I was appointed to become distributor of oil products, including gas, tires, and many other motor vehicles and accessories. Then from there, I came to Nairobi. I drove one day to do some business. So when I was there at Nyayo House, just they parked the vehicle, went up for 30 minutes. When I came back, I found my car was not there. Already there were street boys before, earlier on, who were asking me to give them money. Then I thought giving them money was to destroy them, because they could buy wrong, drugs and so forth. That's why I said no. And then for later on, I reported, of course, to the Central Police Station. Up to this day, I've never heard about that vehicle.
Wow.
That I went to Eldoret. I drove from Nairobi to Eldoret, back to my home where I had established myself with my family, 8 children and my wife. And therefore, during that time, I started thinking, well, how can we help? And because I was one of those, when I saw children cry, I saw my face crying, and I could not do anything. 1989, November 17th, and therefore, through that, then God really gave me the vision and the mission to care for the most disadvantaged children in our country, Kenya. And so, in the year 1989, I decided to give everything that I had. From that time, it's now 27 years, giving everything, and that was not really, you cannot compare now the money and the wealth and my only time, because God called me to give myself, to become the father to the fatherless.
Like
you
says,
see this book, Father to the Fatherless, it talks about myself being written by somebody from Canada who came to visit us in the year 2003. Anyway, after that, I started doing the work, went to the street. Then I lost all the friends.
Oh yeah, they left.
And it was like a crazy man.
Right. Yeah, they're like, this guy is crazy.
This guy is crazy. How can you give all what you have saved all these years to the children? Those who will never help you ever. But I invested that because I thought and I felt convinced giving a help to one child would really multiply the number of children, and therefore through that would completely change the world, the way we need to live together. Because what I also learned is that my heart should be poured to those who are less fortunate, especially the street boys, the street mothers, child girls, and the poor.
So so you started with 27 years later, 12,000 people have gone through the process, and now the movie. Where was it? What was most of it filmed in terms of the production?
Yeah, so we came out here with a small team from America, four of us on one trip, and then 5 again on another trip, and we filmed most everything at his main property in Delani, and then Mully Children's Family in Yatta, and we also took a whole trip across Kenya to document the history of his life in Eldoret and the start of Mully Children's Family. And so we gathered information to do interviews here also in Nairobi of his family, his friends across all of Kenya, and then many of the rescued children, as well as we retold stories with actors, but they weren't actors. They were his children, and we built the whole movie, the whole crew, the whole scene. It was Mullywood, is what we called it, because any idea we had, we could talk to him, and the property is so massive, and the endeavor here is so large. There's, you know, it's a eco-village that is built to be self-sustaining, from, you know, farming and from greenhouses that catch water to have ponds that start fish farming, and all of that food feeds the children, and there's enough to sell and give away to the communities, and water purification, and but any idea we have at a building, when we wanted to film a scene that was based in a hospital, we'd say, we need to go find a hospital in a city. He said, no problem, I have a hospital. You know? And also 20 people that can play nurses and actors and medicine, and he'd convert the scene.
So the movie was, so two things you achieved. You also, you know, by shooting the movie, you're telling his story, but you're also getting new talent aboard as well, and getting
absolutely. They have an entire drama team, an entire choir, and then a team of the children that were back from college on their Christmas break became a part of our crew. We trained them in filmmaking, camera work, and crew, and what is called, you know, grips and electric. So we trained all of these children, and they became our crew. And we had a bus, 2 Land Rovers, and a truck that trekked all the way. And you stopped at Lake Elementaita and up to Eldoret, and where else did we stop?
Yeah, indeed. Mostly the reason why they came is that the kind of ministry or the work that I do is so much composed on the rehabilitation. It's not about only street children. Street children
about the hospitals and
we have of course we care for medical care for the children and for the community, and we have also water purification plant that we have been able to set there for the whole of the community, as well as also the climate change and environmental development, which has been my focus over the years, and therefore over 5.8 million trees that has been planted. I've been able to bring that again to the whole of our sub-county and the county of Machakos, and that through the schools that we all support in terms of the climate change initiative. We have also, as he has said, the training on various courses, especially vocational training for the girls, those whom we have found the street mothers. We provide training such as hairdressing, you know, sewing, and microfinance, and many other courses that we do. And the other thing that has brought them so much is about caring for the community, caring for children, and taking them all the way up to university, where over 12,000 young people who have gone through the program, and even at present with 130 young people who are in the university, and we support all of them. And one thing that also touched them is about that we don't charge. And over the last 27 years, we don't charge school fees, not even one out of all these kids who have gone through that. And that the uniqueness of the place of the institution, again, it touches people because the children, they get their right to be trained about the good morals, the good values, on Christian values as well as moral values, how we can take this nation, how we can take Africa far in terms of what to do, how to behave, and how to work independently. And the best of it all is empowering the children to become self-sustainable, and again to be able to understand how to do business. And therefore through that they felt like we want to be a part of that. We want to be part of it.
Right. So of course I could listen to your story. It's very intriguing. It's a very interesting story. I could listen to it over and over and over. But even as we wrap up, talk about, first of all, how did he take? How long was the production?
Yeah. So we took over almost a 2-year period to complete the film. From filming, we came home and edited and wanted to come back to get certain interviews that we had missed and pieces of the story that we felt would fill in the story. And so we completed the edit of the film, and then we brought on a composer named Benjamin Wallfish, and he developed the score and recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra and recorded the score of the film. And then we finished the film together and started taking it to festivals around the United States and Canada, where we won Best Documentary Award and Audience Award at a number of the main festivals in the United States and Canada as well. And the reason for the festivals is to find a distributor. And so we finally came to know this company called For Good with Paul Blavin, and his intention and his heart aligned with the film more than any other distributor that we had come across. And his vision is as large as Charles's for his passion. Paul's vision to share this story with the world, where our main focus is strictly impact and changing people, not anything but that. And so our goal is, how can we share this film with the world to inspire people to help each other, be like-minded, and be like Mully. And so we are going to do a worldwide release towards the end of the year, and around November, and release across all of the United States, also here in Africa, and also other countries. And with the film, have tools to release with the film on how people can get involved, not with just Mully, but how to get involved in their communities, how to, and not necessarily just with rescuing children, but how to make a decision like he made, which was one that there was the calling on his heart to make a change and make a difference, and this one moved him. What is the one in you that you feel and you know and has been weighing on your mind for years to do that? Because that will change our world. And that's what he's done, and that has changed Kenya and Africa.
All right. So, of course, we'll be waiting for for that. You said in November, around November.
Yes, that is our plan.
November 17th.
Well, we would say around that week, towards the end of November. So that, and we would love to keep you up to date with exact a large premiere here in Nairobi and or at Mully Children's Family.
One of the things that I was also taken in a place is about the love that we have for children, for the people, and trying to send this message to the entire Kenyans, Africa and the world, that we as a small community from Kenya, we are able and we desire to change the lives of the people by empowering especially women to really become self-reliant and more to love one another and open gates, so that those who are oppressed, especially due to the poverty, that they can come up and they become able and sustainable in their lives. That's why this program becomes a very unique program, and therefore with the partnership with the friends in United States of America, through the movie, that people will emulate that on, and then we move to change the world one person at a time. All
right. Of course, you can see the passion in Charles Mully is still there. You can see it's still there as well. Thank you guys so much for coming as well, and we will hold you to that. When the festival is coming in November, you'll have to come back to this show and tell us about it, and also the progress that we made at that time, and hopefully, you know, it shall make the impact that you guys intended to make, and like you've already made and touched so many people's lives. So again, thank you guys, and of course we can't leave without giving you the trailer of the movie.
Oh, wow.
Take a look at this.
Nice.
I remember one day I woke up and everybody had gone. I was abandoned, a child without parent. I became a beggar. I became a street boy. I walked to the city of Nairobi to get a new life.
I was so happy. I have a family, I have a car, I had a dream. I want to do business.
He formed Mully Agencies Limited. And then my dad had a monopoly in oil and gas.
It was my time. I was really tormented by these boys in the street. I saw faces of me, and I could not work anymore. I cried. Why is it that God wants me to take me back again? I will never, ever work for money again.
That's called total madness. That's what it is.
Dad says that he needed to sell everything and start helping the poor in the society, the children who are abandoned.
How do you let go of what you hold dearly? And how do you decide when to share your love? Kenya was burning. We can't let this happen. We have to do something.
The children did not have food. If we don't step in, children are going to die. We had 3 children, 4 children, and the number kept on growing.
He said, welcome, this is your family now. These are all your brothers and sisters.
That was a miracle.
We are one family. We are one Kenya. When I remember that, I see the impossible becoming possible.